What's up, guys? We are back. It's been a minute. It has been a crazy February, I gotta tell you. Um, yeah, I mean, if you're part of the Pokemon market, you know business is booming right now. Um, it is, the bull run is still happening. For all of you people that said, oh, the bubbles pop, the top's in, okay. Let's check it in another 6 months if you're still saying that. I think you'll be wrong if you're still saying that. But anyway, yeah, it's been Pokemon business has been crazy this month. And my full-time job, which if you don't know is remodeling, house remodeling, that has been incredibly busy too. Pretty much since I got back to Massachusetts, I've had a full schedule, and things are going to continue to get busier. And I'm working on bigger projects, and I'm going to have a full-time employee or business partner sort of with me soon. And so the workload is ramping up. The size of the jobs are ramping up. The quality of the jobs has really improved over since I got back from Massachusetts compared to what I was doing before. So, business is booming everywhere. And although it's been very busy, I am not going to sit here and complain about being busy. I'm very happy about it. And yeah, I've got no complaints. So, this weekend, by the way, I will be at the Pokemon Outlet once again, Lee, Massachusetts. Come by and see me. Come by and see all the other vendors. If you know the show, it's smaller. It's on the smaller size, but we've got a really great group of vendors, a really great group of locals that, it's really the only show in Berkshire County. And unless you got, for a lot of people, unless they want to drive over an hour, it's the only show that they can go to. So I like being a part of that show. Hanging out with all the vendors and all the regular local collectors that come through to the show. So I'm always excited to be there. Hope to see you guys there. And I am buying and taking in trades for vintage, especially vintage hollows, mid-era hollows. I am buying heavily. I am willing to do better than average trade percentages, better than average buy percentages. So come see me if you got a stack of vintage hollows you want to trade in for other stuff, or you just want to sell. After that, next weekend on Sunday, March 8th, I'll be at PokeaCon in Seekonk, Mass. That should be a great show. I've heard great things. They are rebranding after that show. So I believe it's going to be called Collector Takeover after that. But I've heard really good things about that show, so I'm excited for that one. Then 14th and 15th of March, I will be at Gone Broke Con in Springfield, Mass. That is at the Mass Mutual Center. That should be a big show. I got to walk around that show last year, and it was really good. So really looking forward to that. And then the following weekend after that, back at the Pokemon Outlet for another weekend. So that's kind of the upcoming show schedule, guys. I'll be at all those shows. Very heavy on the shows in March. Normally I only do 2 to 3 per month. 3 is a stretch for me normally, but I am going to be focusing a little bit more on vending for the month of March. So we'll see how that goes. Hope to see a bunch of you guys out at shows and all that stuff. And with that, one of the things I wanted to talk to you guys about a little bit today is March 1st, 2025 was my first show that I ever vended. And considering March 1st, 2026 is this Sunday, I was going to just kind of travel down memory lane, reflect on the year that it's been, and talk a little bit about how vending's been for me, how the market's been, when I got in, all of this stuff, and just, reflect a little bit on the crazy year that it's been, 2025 into early 2026. So my situation last year was quite a bit different than it is this year. Last year, in 2024 December, so right before, sort of a few months before I started vending, I moved from Massachusetts down to Panama City, Florida. I was really sick of the winters here, and a handful of other things, but it was a lot to do with the weather. It was a lot to do with just wanting to, I had been wanting to move down to Florida for a while. The climate I thought was better suited to me. I just thought there were a lot of positive things about potentially moving down to Florida, and so my wife and I gave it a shot. We moved down there, and I got a job like immediately, but then pretty much immediately after I got the job, I got fired, which I've talked about this in a previous video. It's been like well over a decade since I've been let go from a job, so that was kind of weird for me. It was kind of a situation where it was just like me and the owner of that business were just kind of not seeing eye to eye on quality of work and expectations for quality of work, and let's just say they were a little more focused on speed of work getting done, and I've always been a quality above speed as far as my priorities go kind of guy. So we just weren't really seeing eye to eye on that, so I got let go pretty quick, because I don't like to do hack work, and when you're running a high volume business, sometimes you cut some corners. So no shade to them. Everybody's got to get theirs, I guess, but I like to do it differently. So anyway, I was down there looking for jobs, not having much luck finding any decent paying jobs. As much as, the Florida economy does seem pretty pretty good in some ways, but in the trades, there is a ton of competition, and the pay for hourly workers, it's not great, truthfully. So I was not having much luck finding work, and if you ever been in the situation where you're out of work and you're not making much money, well, you know that the bills don't stop coming just because you don't have work lined up. So pretty quickly I figured out I needed to be doing something, and I looked around at what I had, and what I had was, one of the things I did was I started doing some woodworking projects. But the other thing that I had was a Pokemon collection that I had been sort of slowly and casually building up for three-ish years prior to last year. So I decided, hey, I mean, I've bought and sold and traded Magic cards a lot of times before. Um, I had a pretty substantial Magic sealed collection at the time too. Few $1,000s worth of booster boxes, stuff like that. And but the Pokemon, I kind of just been casually collecting it and not really trying to sell it ever or anything like that. But you know, this was right around the time when Prismatic Evolutions was about to drop, January 2025. And so the hype was building, and upon that set releasing, I mean, at that time, you could still kind of get, like, you could still buy, like, oh, I can buy a case of ETBs. Oh, I can buy Japanese booster boxes for very cheap. All sorts of stuff like that. And, you know, I had this singles collection of various stuff. So, first of all, I started selling on Facebook Marketplace and flipping on Facebook Marketplace. And, you know, that I had success doing that for sure. But simultaneously to that, I was watching people like the Bulbasaur and a few other content creators. At that point, it wasn't quite as prevalent as it is now, like the vendor POVs. So Bulbasaur was one of the first guys that I kind of watched in the vendor space, and sort of watched along as he like grew his vending business. And yeah, I mean, so I was watching that, and my wife and I were driving around one day in Panama City, and we saw, just kind of out of the blue, we saw, well, first of all, we saw a billboard that was advertising for a rodeo in town. And we were like, oh, that would be fun. We should go check this rodeo out. And so my wife jumps on the venue's event page, and we're scoping it out. She's telling me about things she sees, and then she goes, oh, they're having like a collectibles convention at this venue space. And I was like, really? When? She's like, you know, I don't remember exactly when this was, but it was sometime in like early February or something, like a few weeks from now. And I was like, oh, well, I should see if I can get a table and try this whole vending deal out instead of just dealing with all these marketplace meetups, which, you know, if you've done the marketplace grind, it's not easy and it's not fun. So I signed up, I got a table. I want to say at that point, at that show, I probably had something like $5,000 worth of inventory. I literally had like one of those cheap Amazon like wall displays with the shelves. That's what I bought. And then I bought, you know, a tablecloth. I bought some cheap shelves at Home Depot that I still use. I bought, and then I put in my first order of Japanese booster boxes that I had ever done, because it was pretty hard to source English sealed product at a decent price at that time. I mean, I had a decent collection of ETBs and stuff, but I felt like I needed more, and I'm glad I did. So I think I had about $5,000 worth of inventory, and yeah, it was also, I guess I brought my Magic sealed collection with me, but I don't even think I sold any boxes or anything at that show. Anyway, that show, it went really well for my what I had in my head, like what I thought it could be. And it's not like I did crazy sales or anything, but I think I did clear like over $1,000 in sales. Of course, that's not profit. It's not like I profited $1,000 on my first show, but just being able to sell that much at a one-day event in sort of a strange venue location and an event that didn't have a ton of advertisements behind it or anything like that, and in a city where truthfully there just weren't many shows like that going on. So yeah, it went really well. And then I guess the rest of the story in Florida is essentially like I decided, okay, I'm going to do more of this. The problem with that was that if you know Panama City, like I said, there's not many shows there. And then the other big cities that are sort of in the area, it's like the next closest is like Pensacola and Tallahassee. Those are each like 2 hours away. Neither of those cities had very many shows going on either. At the time, at least. Who knows? They might now. The way the shows are going. So I had to start booking shows in like Tampa and Orlando, which were 6-hour drives each way. But I did some of those, and honestly, those went really good too. And it was great to get out of town and like get to drive around Florida and explore. And me and my wife had a blast doing it, honestly. It was the best part about our attempted move to Florida, was going to the shows, traveling around, and in the future, I'd really like to potentially go back to Florida and do shows. Maybe that'll end up being like getting a rental for a month and going down and just booking a month's worth of shows. I don't exactly know how that looks yet, but I'd like to do that sometime. And I think we will. We'll see though. But then we essentially work just never panned out for us there, like full-time work. I'm very like independent. I'm not a very good employee. I don't like working for other people. I always feel like I'm underpaid and undervalued when I'm working under somebody else. And so I tried to like start my remodeling business again down there, but I just found without a network of people that knew me and knew my work and people that would vouch for me and tell their friends and all this sort of stuff, without that network, it was just like a crazy uphill battle that was going to take years to even start the ball rolling. And the other part of it was just like we missed our friends, we missed our family. We didn't have like any social network down there either, and so that was tough on both of us. And so we decided like this just isn't really gonna work for us. And luckily we hadn't sold our house back in Massachusetts yet. We were just about to, and before we listed it, it was sort of like this is kind of our last chance to like turn around and make a different decision here. And so we did. We reversed course, we moved back, and as I've mentioned, it's been a great decision for us. Work has been crazy busy for me since I got back. There's so much work in Massachusetts to be done. There's so many older contractors that want to get out of the game, and so there's just, over the next 5 to 10 years, there's going to be an incredible amount of opportunity for younger guys that are ready to set out on their own and build their own business. And I want to be one of those guys. And so I'm working on that. But yeah, like I said, it's been incredibly busy. And since I've gotten back, I have jumped right into the New England area show scene. And it's been really Better than I could have ever hoped for. The community here is awesome, and the amount of shows that are available to vend within a 3-hour drive is pretty insane. Like, people kind of, sometimes I'll be out in like Eastern Mass or Rhode Island. People are like, oh my God, you drove 3 hours to get here. And I'm like, yeah, dude. I mean, before I came back, I was driving 6 hours each way for shows. So this ain't nothing. But yeah, it's just been great. The local collector scene is great. The New England vending scene is great. There's tons of shows. I am kind of like ramping up into bigger and bigger shows while still being able to like do Pokemon Outlet, which is my local show. So it's been great, and I have absolutely no complaints. And truthfully, like, I guess the part about it that I had no control over, but I got lucky with, is just like the time that we're in the Pokemon market is just like insane. Like, we're gonna I think it was, I don't know if you guys watch Jarchomp or Oyama's Trading, but they do every other week like podcast sort of deal called Midweek Machance. I highly recommend it. And I think it was Ricky that said, like, we're going to look back on these years and be like, man, these were the good old days. And that really hit me. I can't agree more. I really do think this is like a special time in the market that, you know, of course there's always detractors and complainers and negativity. That is something you will never have a market that solves for those people. Those people are determined to be negative. And so there's literally no point in worrying about those people. They will always be there. They will always complain. That's fine. But for the rest of us, for those of us that are enjoying where we're at in the market, and I gotta say, like, people complain about all sorts of different things going on. Oh, I can't get the newest set sealed. Oh, PSA prices. Oh, this. Oh, that. I mean, if I get it, I do sort of get it if you just like want to open tons of packs and stuff. But to be honest, it's like you wouldn't want to open the packs if the market wasn't so hot. Like, you want to open the packs because the market is hot. The market is hot, and so prices are going to go up. I don't know, you know, just throwing that out there. But anyway, I do really feel like this is a special time in the market, a unique time in the market, and I've really been having a blast. The vending scene is just great. It's such an easy slot for me to, it has been such a seamless transition for me to move into. I've talked about it before, but like, I used to bartend, and when I quit drinking, I had to get out of the industry. I couldn't do it anymore. And the hardest part about quitting drinking for me was that I loved the industry. I wanted to be like a bar manager or a store manager, and that was literally like, at the time, that was kind of like my career trajectory. It was like, oh, I'm gonna like be a bar manager, and then one day I can open up my own place and all this sort of stuff. So the hardest part about quitting drinking for me was that at the same time I was quitting my whole like career path, and what I had in my head is like what I was going to be doing for work for the rest of my life, potentially. And so vending has a lot of similar characteristics to bartending, and so it's just, like I said, it's just been a blast for me. I really love it. And you know, my my full-time business, like, I don't really get to like interact with the customers that much. I mean, I do, but it's a totally different vibe when you're working on somebody's house than when you're vending at a show. It's like completely different. So it's just been great. I have no complaints about it, and business wise it's been great too. You know, my inventory has been growing for a year now, and I've been submitting cards on the regular to get graded, and you know, I constantly, not to like brag tons or anything, but at shows I get constantly told, hey, you've got like one of the best displays at this show. Hey, your binders are some of the best at this show. Your cases, you know, like, and that sort of stuff, like, especially for me, who's like, I've kind of come from, because before I was bartending even, I was working at liquor stores. I was doing retail. I was doing inventory management and stocking shelves and doing, you know, sale displays and stuff like that. So when, you know, if you know that sort of industry, if you're in retail, you don't really get like, congratulations, you did a really good job. Oh, wow, your tower of beer display is really great, or whatever. I mean, in some sections you kind of do get that, but in this market and in this environment, it's just completely different. People really appreciate the effort and the time and the curation of a good display, a good binder that's been put together, and you've sourced all these hard to find cards. And so that's super rewarding. It feels great. And I really enjoy being able to help collectors out on their collection journey and all of that stuff. So, and in the process, I've made a decent amount of money. I've been able to pull money back out of the business, of the collection, you know, the vending business. I've been able to pay a lot of bills that I wouldn't have had paid otherwise. And so it's just been a totally positive experience. And I plan, I guess, I got to wrap up the video because I'm about to get to my job site for the day. But I guess, you know, for this sort of year in review, the reflection on this year, I just couldn't be more grateful that this hobby has allowed me to kind of diversify my ways that I make money and have a lot of fun in the process. And yeah, I'm really excited for what the next year plus has to bring. And I plan on booking more shows and trying to increase the quality of the shows, trying to increase the quality of my inventory, working on some personal collection goals, all these sorts of things that I'm really excited about. And I'm going to have a sort of business partner moving into the vending space with me as well. So I'm really excited about that. Stay tuned for that. We'll be talking about that at some point soon, I'm sure. But yeah, and to all the people that have been a part of this journey for me, you know, all the other vendors, all the show promoters, and especially all the people that have come to my table and done deals and talked about the hobby with me and all of that stuff. I really, really appreciate it. And I think this year is going to be great for collecting, for new sets, for card shows in general. And so I'm really excited. And I hope to do more of these videos soon. But, you know, like I said, it's been crazy, which is a good thing. So Pokemon Outlet this weekend. I hope to see a bunch of you guys out there. And we'll talk soon. All right, later.